Time agreements and, of course, DNDi researchers, we are going into something a little more, home-based. The way you breathe.
The way you breathe. People, I always associate breathing since giving birth. That's true.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It is sort of a rebirthing. Yes.
People always say this joke, you have to learn the breathing technique when you give birth.
That's
to help with
that's
the
massive
pain.
breathing there.
How about, pain in your everyday life? Is from stress, it's from the constant jam, the constant
stress
just
from
people
stress.
not paying attention to time agreements. Oh, goodness me.
All right, so you know what? We're going to talk to our guest in the studios to find out how you can breathe and de-stress yourself. Now, there is an expert in the studio. We're very, very privileged to have him all the way from the States. Let's welcome Mr. John Stamoulos, who's the Breathwork International, who's from Breathwork International. We've got Dr. Noor Sawia Juso right next to him on the right-hand side, medical practitioner from UK, and of course, the lovely person on this side, totally to our right, is Ms. Aziza Jalaluddin, who's a co-founder for SHINE. Now, SHINE stands for Self-Help International Network. Good morning.
Okay.
Good morning.
I am just, I think both of us are quite intrigued in what breathwork is all about.
Maybe you can share with us, John.
Okay, so in a nutshell, breathwork is it's a breathing technique, and what happens in this technique is you breathe a certain pattern, so you control the inhale and relax the exhale, and then what happens to the person that experiences this is they go into a very, very conscious, altered state of awareness. So they're still awake, it's not hypnosis. And as they go into an altered state of awareness, you tend to become aware of any stress that you have in your body, any pain that you have. Anxieties can come up. But the interesting thing about this technique is that you can access your first primal thoughts, and it was interesting you mentioned about breathing and birth, because some of our research we found that people can access their first primal thoughts about life. So for example, if there was a lot of trauma during the birth, and the way you take your first breath in life, then you create a pattern in how you breathe for the rest of your life. So if you take a breath and it's quite a lot of fear and pain, then you associate breathing deep with life equals pain, or life is a struggle. So in the work that we do is where the client is able to go into that conscious altered state and release any trauma. So that's as deep as you can go, but then of course there's other things like stress, everyday stress, that like you said, traffic jams and work and paying the bills, and all of that stuff that we hold in our body, it actually restricts us from living a full life.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about yourself, John. Tell us in brief, a little bit about your work and how long you've been doing this, and how did you get into it?
Well, that's a really long story, but probably about
let's put it into a nutshell.
In a nutshell, I'm very good at that. About 20 years ago, I had a really awful experience. I was living in the US, and what happened was, like in life, you tend to have ups and downs, right? But I came to a point in my life where I reached I went down, but I kind of fell off the graph. And I flew back to Australia. I'm actually from Australia. And went back home, and I knew about this technique before I'd lived in the US. So I went along and had a session because I was in so much pain, emotional pain, and I went along and had a session, and it was the most amazing experience, particularly for a man to be able to feel a lot of this stuff. I have to admit I didn't like it in the beginning because it was very uncomfortable. However, I noticed that my life kept changing out there, so I kept going back and doing more and more sessions, and then one of the instructors said to me, why don't you train as a breath worker? Because I was already working as a remedial therapist in a hospital, working with the body, and then they said you'd be really good at knowing about the body and also knowing about this breathing technique in people's minds. So that began my journey, and I started using this technique on my son because he'd gone through a bit of trauma while we lived in the US, and I noticed the change with him, and then I began to work with children. So I was one of Australia's leading child breath workers, and then I went into working with couples, relationships, and then before I knew it, the world was my stage, and I've been traveling for the last, I don't know, probably about 15 years doing this work internationally, and coming to amazing places like Malaysia and introducing this work. So that's it in a nutshell.
There you go. in a rather large nutshell. All right. So let's talk
Yes.
to Aziza. Aziza, tell us about a little bit about Shine.
Well, my organization is basically on social spiritual entrepreneurship and professional speaking, but my experience with Breathworks has been one of the reason for my work. It is right now. Because I was a housewife sitting at home looking after children and attending a Money New program, I got in touch with John, and for the last almost 10 years now, I have been supporting the work, and I have been experiencing it myself in the way I have been living my life. When you say about the first primal thought, probably, you know, that is my experience, having had a chance to experience my birth and giving great gratitude for that moment.
Right.
You know, was an amazing experience, and since then I have applied breathing techniques for myself, for my own self-awareness. To be connected is so important. So that's where I have taken it and use it in my programs so that I can be more grounded in what I'm doing.
Okay.
So that's been very helpful.
Dr. Noor, can you share your experience?
My experience with breathwork is I'm a medical doctor, as you know, and I specialize in family planning and sexual health. In the past, I remembered attending this program called Money and You in 2005. You know, being a medical doctor, I'm a science person. I never believe in breathwork.
Oh yeah.
But you know,
Major
things change.
skeptic, huh?
Yes. And later, it might be in 2008, things changed. And what I got is, you know, when I went through breath work, I experienced the most amazing, uplifting feeling. And what happened in my life is, since then, my life changed.
Wow.
Yeah. And I had tremendous
So
experience.
maybe we can do a little practice. You know, before we do that, you know, I remember. Have you ever seen how a baby sleeps or how a baby breathe?
Yeah.
They breathe so calmly,
Very calm.
without any, you know,
No stress.
no
no
stress.
worries.
So, and looking at young children, especially babies breathe, you know, it shows that, you know, we want to do that. So maybe can we practice? Is
Sure,
there how-
sure.
is
Yeah,
there
show
simple
us
short
what a
tips
session
that we
would
can
be like.
All right. So let's just begin maybe with some basic breathing. What happens is people breathe quite shallow. They don't breathe deep enough. So in the technique, maybe I'll just show it on Aziza.
Okay.
What I'm going to get her to do is you open your mouth and you relax your mouth open and you control the inhale. So, and then relax the exhale. And all you do is you do this, it's called conscious connected breathing, which means there's no pause between the inhale and the exhale. It's like a rubber band at the end and it pulls it back. The most important part is you control the inhale and then relax the exhale.
Which part do you, is that to inflate? You know, people always say that it's either the chest or the stomach.
With this technique, with breath work or rebirthing as it used to be called, it's about breathing into the top part of the chest, into the heart space, expanding the rib cage. So in the beginning it can feel quite hard to do this type of breathing, but after about 5 minutes it becomes quite natural. It's a natural form. And then what happens is you begin to oxygenate and then go into a very, very conscious, altered state. So you can have eyes open, but people tend to close their eyes because you kind of go on a journey inwards. It's like an amazing journey inwards. So all I would do as a facilitator is just make sure that Aziza is continuously breathing in this pattern. If anything comes up, then I'll just support her with it.
Okay.
Comes up meaning?
As in, I get a memory that can come up that can be quite strong.
Right.
It could be a feeling in her body. It could be tingling. It could be pain. It could be, sometimes people see like whole movies, you know, of like, it could be something from your past that you've never acknowledged or become aware of. It just comes flashing in front of you. So it could be quite traumatic for some people. That's why we don't recommend people doing this work on their own.
Not on their own.
Until
yeah.
they do at least 10 private facilitated sessions with a professional breath worker.
Right. Okay, and Aziza, you can do this on your own.
She can.
Yes.
And that's the amazing part of it, because when you have been empowered with so many facilitators, and I've got like amazing experiences.
You've got the best.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, let's talk about what's happening on Monday. You do have a breathwork seminar coming up.
Yes.
Could we have a little bit info on that, because I'm quite sure the viewers would be very interested to know more.
Okay. So on Monday morning at 9:30 we're doing a group breathwork session. So what this is an introduction to this technique. It's not a private session, so people can come with an open mind and always say an open heart as well. It'll be at Holiday Villa at Subang Jaya, at the hotel down there. And there is a contact number which we'll give to you, where you can pass out in a little while.
I will give it out in a bit.
And what people need to do is just ring up JC and register. You bring along like a pillow and like a yoga mat or something to lie on, and a blanket because of the air conditioning, because you will be lying down for part of the process. It'll be probably about 3 to 4 hour session, and I'll do an introduction. I'll talk about the history of this work. I'll give an example for about an hour. People will breathe for about an hour, and then I'll do a debrief, so then people feel grounded enough and have an understanding of what they experienced.
Okay.
It sounds similar to a hypnosis, but as you mentioned, it's not a hypnosis.
Not.
You're just tapping into your inner conscience.
Each individual will go to what they can handle. Like, for example, you might come along and you might have an intention, you want to work on stress, or there's some anxiety. What you get, who knows? The subconscious gating system will just do this, and whatever you're ready to physically, emotionally handle will come up. And that's how the subconscious works.
Wow.
It'll
Okay.
only give you what you
Now,
can
just a
handle.
quick note to the viewers out there. If you do want to get in touch with John or get into the session that he's having on Monday, you could call JC, and JC's at 016-227-0365. That's 016-227-0365. Do give JC a call. She'll be able to take on your inquiries, or even if you would like to participate.
How young can a child participate?
That's a good question. Well, it depends on the facilitators. I tend to work with 7 and up, but I usually like one of the parents in the room, or one of the parents to at least have done a private session with me before I begin with the child.
Okay.
And children are different.
Is Monday the only session you have, or are you going to be in KL for a longer period of time?
I'm actually in KL for another workshop that I'm supporting on called Money and You. It's from the US, and it's here for 4 days starting tonight. So I'm here just supporting the participants in that particular program. I do come back occasionally and do some of these seminars, but people can go onto my website as well and have a look if they like.
Doctor, in your experience, as a you were a previous skeptic, and you're a good believer right now, if I may say so, if that's a word. Do you now do this sessions, or rather do you sort of encourage maybe your family members, for instance, to take up something like this?
Yes, certainly. I highly support and encourage each and everyone to experience breathwork, because it's just an amazing experience, and the feeling that you can never articulate by words, really. And one thing that's sure in medicine, when you alter the way you breathe, then you open up your airway, and also you get more oxygen in. When you get more oxygen in, you increase your metabolism, and you get more energy into your body, and that's when your cells grow.
Maybe you can also share, in the medical world, pain management has always been an issue, and it has also been dealt with drugs. How does breathwork somehow helps pain management?
Well, we've had experience of people that suffer quite a lot of chronic pain, able to use this technique in order to manage their pain, because I guess one of the things I find is people can actually go into the pain, not make it wrong, feel it, and then it's almost like integrating it and releasing it instead of suppressing it. And most people tend to suppress pain. And how do they do that?
Painkillers.
Painkillers. And soon as there's soon as there's pain in the body, to me, I think it's kind of good to sort of say, okay, why am I creating this pain? What's going on? Why is my shoulder hurt? Is it something I'm doing at work that I need to change, instead of going and popping a pill or something like that?
Yeah, and I think we're very used to popping in a paracetamol or Panadol or Constance.
I was bedridden for 6 months back in 2006, 2007, and this was the technique that supported me a lot in getting out of the pain, and right now I'm good.
Well, I'm quite sure, John, that you've gone through a session where you have major skeptics coming in. No pun intended there, Doctor, but I'm quite sure you would have had people coming in and going, "Oh, what do you mean breathwork?" It's like you being a breath whisperer, like they say, horse whisperer. I mean, you could be like a breath whisperer, because it's literally you catching a person in a totally different realm of the state of mind. So when you do come across these skeptics and who might have gate crashed your seminars, how do you end up convincing them?
Okay.
Not to say it's doctor, though.
This is a fantastic question, because you see, breath work is an experience that you feel yourself. It's not something that I do as a facilitator. All I do is make sure you feel safe enough and breathe correctly.
Right.
What happens is these skeptics, they're the ones that go and tell the world, and I'm not joking, because what happens, I find, when people have a lot of resistance, they tend to go through a lot of, it becomes quite a physical, uncomfortable experience for them, and then what happens is they, because they feel so much pain, and then when they release it, then they tend to go off into the world.
Now we're looking at some of the pictures here. Are these the seminars that you normally? This is pretty much how it's done.
This one here that you see now is done in India. I was up in the Himalayas and there was a group of people that I met. Sometimes it can be done in water. This was in Greece, and they're really wonderful experiences because they take you back to the womb. You can do it in cold water in the ocean, which brings up a lot of fear that people have. So there's a lot of advanced type of breathing techniques, and the nature ones are really beautiful actually.
When you go back into.
And there's the warm water
when you do water, I mean, I notice you put them face down.
Yes, with a snorkel.
Why is that?
Because it's almost like being in utero. It kind of, the subconscious mind sort of, because the water's about 37, 38 degrees Celsius, so it kind of, the subconscious relates to being in the womb, so it's kind of like a really womby feeling, and it's usually when you surface out with the cold air that your subconscious gating system can bring memories of birth.
But is there a lot of cases where people panic because it's, you know,
absolutely, yeah. Sometimes, I mean, I've seen people fly out of water. That's more advanced sort of breath work.
I'm scared. I have a problem with water. I mean, I drink it, I bathe with it, but I have a major problem when it comes to a pool. So if it's a person like me, for instance, I do have a psychological problem when it comes to a swimming pool or even, you know, sea. How do you work with people?
Most of the techniques are done dry, so it just means you're lying down, either like in my office I have a really nice couch that people can lie on. Sometimes it can be done on a mattress on the floor or just on the floor, as long as the client is comfortable and relaxed. And you know, it's not it's not about forcing anyone to do anything. It's just relaxing and just breathing correctly and adjusting the breathing pattern until your subconscious
going back into your subconscious. That's very interesting, because that's what we don't do, isn't it? I mean, we're all rushing every day of our life, every minute, if I may say so. And this is one way, you know, you just bring your sleeping bags and lie down and let John do his thing, and you wake up a new person.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you for having
Wishing
us
you all
too.
the best. Just a quick note to all of you out there. Once again, we've got JC's number 016-227-0365. Do call JC if you want to get involved in the session on Monday, and I'm quite sure there are a couple of other sessions coming in. You can find them on the website to know more. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Aziza,
I
keep shining.
also want to pass you guys one of my affirmation CDs. These are for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. I was saying again, it's funny how, because of technology, because of time investment, people are teaching us how to breathe. People are teaching us how to laugh. People are even teaching us how to sleep right. You know,
sleep, walk.
I have a friend that does that.
So there
you go.
I think we have to go back to nature, back to our core, back to self-awareness.
Go back to the core. I agree with you. Go back to the core. All right. Affirmations, abundance, manifestation, and prosperity, health, wellness, and vitality. My God, this is like the whole of us in here. Okay, we are going to go and look into this. John, once again, thank you, Aziza.
Thank you so much.
As I said, keep shining, and Doctor, keep on going with that conviction that you have right now. We are going to go in for a quick break. Before this, after this, of course, we're getting into our two other topics. One is on Halfest, and we'll come back with a whole lot of stuff coming your way.